$15 million, making him the first player in history to sign two $200 million plus contracts. Meanwhile, also in the West, LeBron James has facilitated a new-look Lakers squad, corralling more star power with the addition of Russell Westbrook and also Carmelo Anthony. So, Stephen A., who would you say is more motivated heading into the upcoming season? Is it LeBron or is it Steph?
I'm going to say Steph. I understand what LeBron was saying the other day, and I'll leave that to you, Max. But I'm going to say Steph Curry. You signed. There's no player in the history of basketball that signed two $200 million deals. That would happen to be Steph Curry. That's what he did. And let me be very, very clear to speak to the greatness of Steph Curry. He signed for $215 million over 4 years, averaging $53.75 million per year. And no one on the planet blinked. Because we all know he deserved those damn dollars. He's Steph Curry. He is the greatest shooter that God ever created. It is that simple. And if anybody deserves this money, it is him. He is a sniper extraordinaire, the most elite sniper the game has ever seen. And he is absolute box office because unlike some people like Kawhi Leonard, he actually markets and promotes the brand he represents as well as the league. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I think about what they had to go through the last 2 years without Klay Thompson. Been 2 years. Now, I know last season was truncated because of COVID-19, and we get all of that. But the last 2 seasons, the Golden State Warriors have not had the services of Klay Thompson. And if I'm Steph Curry, who went to 5 consecutive NBA Finals, who won 3 championships in that period of time, and I had to suffer what I had to suffer through the last 2 years, the only person hungrier than me, or just as hungry as me, might be Draymond Green. That's about it. They can't wait for Klay to come back. Klay can't wait to come back. And Klay, one of the top 5 shooters in basketball history, and a Hall of Famer already, the opportunity that Steph is looking at for them to reunite, with everybody talking about the Lakers and the Clippers and all and Phoenix and all of this other stuff, Lord have mercy. Look out for the Golden State Warriors. They are coming.
Steph Curry, I'm going to need a lower third for him pretty soon, the way you have it for LeBron, Stephen A., because I'm accused of being a lower third. I'm going to need one for Steph when I talk about him, the way you need one for LeBron. Great family man, philanthropist, et cetera, et cetera. Because I'm accused of being a Steph Curry hater. One of my favorite players in any sport ever to watch, a miraculous player to put your eyes on. I point out that something like in overtime, in a win-or-go-home game this season, it's not just that they lost. He scored 0 points. I just pointed that out. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. He's a great player. But I point that out.
I just think it's important, Max, that you remind people at the time you had more hair, no crew cut on the side, and you didn't have any facial hair. That's the last time. That's when that was going on with Steph Curry. I just want to let the world know that.
No. I mean this season. This season when they made the play-in game. Right?
Okay.
The reason that doesn't even occur to you because it wasn't reported. No one noticed it. But in overtime, in a win-or-go-home game, this season, he scored 0 points. And no one bats an eye. Could you imagine if that was LeBron James, who scored 0 points in overtime of a win-or-go-home game? We would be killing him. And that's because LeBron is compared to the GOAT, Michael Jordan. He is playing against a ghost for the title of greatest of all time. He's running out of time. He's getting up there in age. He has a super team around him, even though it's imperfect parts, but it's still super talented. You always bring up, if I say, hey, could Steph ever be the greatest player ever? You talk about his height, and you'd be right. He's 6'3". He's the greatest 6'3" or under player ever, but because he's 6'3", he ain't ever going to be the greatest player who ever lived. Right? He's already reached the mountaintop of what he's capable of doing in terms of his own legacy that way.
We thought that coming into last year. And look at what he did last year.
Because he's great. He was as good as he's ever been. And he's great. But he is not challenging MJ. That's what LeBron's up against. He does not have 6 championships. He does have a super team around him. No excuses. He is LeBron James. He's facing the most pressure, like we were just talking about, and he's got to be the most motivated.
I'm going to say something to you, Max Kellerman. I think you need to buckle your seatbelt for what I'm about to say, because it's really true. You're right. Steph doesn't compare to MJ. Size and height has something to do with it. His lack of defensive prowess has a lot to do with it, because he certainly was not even close to the defender that Michael Jordan is. But offensively, I can make a conversation that Steph Curry is in the conversation of MJ. We have never seen a shooter this phenomenal. Ever. And let's understand. And see, no, he didn't have the aerial assault. He didn't have the aerial arsenal that Michael Jordan had. Couldn't finish at the basket the way Michael Jordan could or whatever. Steph Curry, we usually see offensive players, Max, and with the exception of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain that's over 7 feet tall and dominant because of their height and size, and the skyhook, of course, we usually look at guys, and there's not a single player that we look at and we say Michael Jordan couldn't do that. We didn't see LeBron. We don't see LeBron. We didn't see Kobe, Vince Carter, or anybody else do anything that we felt Michael Jordan couldn't do offensively. Michael Jordan couldn't shoot like that.
Well, if you want to say
nobody could shoot like that.
If you want, no doubt. If you want to say foot for foot, Steph is the best offensive player ever. Fine, but you know what else Michael Jordan couldn't do?
I'm not saying he's the best. I'm just saying that as an offensive talent, because of Steph Curry's marksman ability, because of his ability to just shoot with his eyes closed. We made a big deal about what Michael Jordan did at the free throw line, closing his eyes and hitting the free throw against the Kemba Mutombo and the Atlanta Hawks. We are seeing Steph Curry shoot 40-foot jump shots.
Okay, let me ask you a different way.
We can't say anything.
Is there any universe ever where Michael Jordan could play overtime of a winner-go-home game and score 0 points in any universe? It would never happen. It happened to Steph. No one bats an eye. I'm not bringing it up to hate on Steph. I'm bringing it up to say the standards are different for Steph because he's shorter than a guy like LeBron.
Let's not just point shorter. Let's point the fact that, again, because you're relatively smaller, his movement without the ball, you're required to do all of that because you ain't posting anybody up. You got to run through picks and screens. You got somebody that constantly has their hand on you. You're not 6'6", 220. You're not LeBron 6'9", 260. I'm just saying, the point is the physicality can get to you. I understand that. So that's why I'm saying I wouldn't say better. But when you talk about pure skill, as it pertains to whatever your skill set may be, Steph Curry is in the conversation as one of the greatest offensive players to have ever played basketball, simply because in no era have we ever seen somebody. Yeah, we've seen spot-up shooters. We've seen jump shooters. We've seen catch-and shooters, those guys. But in terms of dribbling the basketball and creating your own shot off the dribble, along with all of those things that I just mentioned,
range.
There has never, ever been a shooter and I go back to days, Max, downtown Freddie Brown, Dale Ellis. You understand what I'm saying? Before Ray Allen, Allen Houston, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, and all of these boys, Ricky Pierce and those crew. I mean, the list goes to Andrew Toney. You remember that? I mean, the list goes on and on. We have never, ever seen anyone in the history of basketball that can shoot like this brother right here.
Agreed.
And that's the difference.
You both are right. You both make great points. We know that LeBron James is certainly the one who's in the GOAT conversation with MJ. But also, I will note that last season, Steph Curry joined Michael Jordan as the only other player to win the scoring title at age 33 or older. So there you go. Consolidated the whole conversation in one fell swoop. Guys, let's keep it moving. We have more hoops to get to in just a bit. We're going to be talking about if the Knicks are becoming more and more of an attractive free agent destination. Stephen A says yes, and he's